front door. And I was like, well, I guess we have to break in.
Of course.
So we break in, and we took, honestly, Tam remembers the details way better than I do. He remembers the date that it happened. Because we were talking about it yesterday, and he was like, yeah, October 15th, 2 years ago. And I was like, how do you even know that? And he was like, I still have the police report. Yeah, he really did call it back. But yeah, so we went in, and we took a bunch of his books, like, out of the bookcases, and, like, left them open to, like, random pages, and put, like, a Post-it note on his coffee table. We moved some other stuff around, too, but I can't remember what it was. We put a note on the coffee table that said something to the effect of, thanks, we had a great time.
Oh.
Or something like that. And it also had, like, these weird, like, numbers written on it that was, like, from something that my brother had used the Post-it for earlier, so it was kind of random. And what I think is funny is that when Tatum describes the note, he says it was in some, like, psychotic chicken scrawl thing, and I was like, that's just my handwriting. Like,
Nice.
It's trying to be creepy. That's just actually how poorly I'm capable of writing. And then my brother started getting kind of like freaked out, like, oh my god, what if his, neighbors call or something. And I was like, all right, let's go. So we get in the car, and like, we drive for like 2 feet, and my brother's like, we have to do more stuff. And I was like, you're right, we do. And so, we go to the gas station, and we buy a little pint of ice cream, homemade vanilla bluebell, because I know that's Tatum's favorite ice cream, and I figured if I'm going to prank him, I should do something nice. So we got a pint of that, and then, I'm not really sure why, we got a 6-pack of beer. Tatum hates beer. A 6-pack of beer, but they were like the little mini ones. Honestly, I think what it was is that it was the first time I saw the mini ones, and I was like, that's so cute!
Yeah.
Beer! So we go back, and we put that in the refrigerator, and on the ice cream, it ended up sort of being carved into it because I couldn't get the pen to work on it. It was like, I heart you, Tatum. And then after that, we felt pretty satisfied. And we left, and then Tatum, of course, like about an hour later, calls me and she's like, did you guys come over to the house by any chance? And I was like, no, dude. That message, we couldn't remember where it was. And he was like, yeah, no, I figured. Well, we came in and there was like all this stuff and these notes and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, wow, yeah, that's crazy, man. That's so creepy. Who would do that? And then he's like, well, I'm going to call other people and see if maybe they did it. And I was like, yeah, no, you really should. You need to figure this out. And I fully intended to call him like 30 minutes later to tell him it was me. I just wanted to sweat a little bit. And several hours later, I remembered to call him. I was like, oh god, yeah, probably want to do that. So I call him, but and I forgot this detail, but Tatum also reminded me of this recently. I called him, and rather than just immediately saying, oh, hey, it was me, I call him and I'm like, hey, did they leave ice cream and beer in your refrigerator? It's a really bad idea.
Conch.
But yeah, no, now it's his turn. He needs to fracking prank me. Because I've been waiting for 2 years for him to get me back. And he's been saying it's going to happen. And he did say that he does plan on pranking me at some point at this convention. So it's going to happen. Watch your back. I know, right? Though he did say he's not sure. Now he's really nervous because he doesn't think that this prank is going to be as good as mine, which it probably won't. Other questions?
Any fans ask you any really weird questions or have you signed any really weird things?
Oh dear.
Have any fans asked me any weird questions or have I signed any weird things? I signed her breasts. Which I'm so excited that I can say that now, because I get that question a lot of like, has anyone ever had you sign something crazy? And I guess that's not that crazy, but it was exciting. It was my Facebook picture. Awesome. As far as fans asking me, probably the weirdest thing, I don't remember his name, but he puts up a lot of YouTube videos with me, or in fact everybody, like anytime he goes to a convention, he's like YouTube's everything, which is fine. And he's really sweet, but he asked me questions, and he wanted me to answer them as the characters. Like, he asked me stuff like about Beck and stuff, and was kind of like, so how did you feel after the Grateful Sound concert? And I was like, and that's when that was the first question, and I kind of realized, like, oh, you want me to answer like as Maho? And he was like, yeah, okay, it was awesome. Yeah, the videos are on YouTube, you can check them out. But yeah, no, he's a nice guy and he always gives me cool presents and stuff, which is cool. But yeah, I'm a stalker. Yeah, I guess that is kind of a stalker, right?
He always gives me cool presents and stuff.
My husband's really big, no one needs to be coming here. But yeah, that's probably the weirdest thing I've ever had to do.
First of all, as a comment to that question, I remember seeing that video of you trying to be like Maho upstairs, and I just thought to myself, oh my gosh, she just so does not want to do that.
Well, and I didn't want to be rude, you know.
I didn't say you
like,
wanted to do anything, but it just seemed like from your expressions, it was just,
It's
wow.
like, oh, you really want me to do that?
Really?
Weird.
Okay.
But I have a question. As a voice actress for anime, do you ever go onto sites like animenewsnetwork.com where they review anime DVDs, and particularly like the dubs? Do you ever actually read them and see if they criticize about the dubbing or in particular or dub of a character, and maybe take any of that to heart and learn from it?
I do read reviews. Not all the time, but especially when I was directing, I like to read the reviews and stuff. And some of it you kind of have to take with a grain of salt because a lot of times it's just their preference, you know what I mean? But sometimes you do learn from the reviews, and I'll read the forums and everything too to kind of see what fan reaction is to certain things and whatnot.
So I remember reading one review of from animenewsnetwork.com about the recent Spice Wolf DVD release, and they just totally complimented your voice.
Oh, really? I feel like, yeah, they totally hated it.
No.
Really enjoyed
Well.
your version of Hold Up.
Cool. I will have to read that review because it talks about how awesome. Yes.
Is there any memorable ad-libs or jokes from a
Yay.
song that you really like that you bust out laughing at the movie or anything like that?
Memorable ad-libs or jokes. I have to say, as far as ad-libs, there's one that I do consistently. Every time that Tamama is crying, like, hysterically about anything, I always add in, I hate it. So it's always like, I hate it. So anytime you hear him crying in the background, listen closely for it's always there. And then as far as any of the jokes, it's really funny all the time. I honestly don't ad lib that often. That's like the only ad lib I can even think of because the script is really solid. It's kind of like Shin-Chan. It's written by the head writer is the same head writer for Shin-Chan as his for Sergeant Rock. So it's just really solid and really well done. I don't particularly remember my favorite, but I do remember Colleen Clinkenbeard does she's a producer for it, so she has to like prove approve the mix and everything, and so she sees the final product multiple times. And she told me that her favorite is, and this is now like anytime someone asks me to say a line, this is what I always say. And it's, he's really excited and walks in and then goes, "Hey everybody, guess what? I think I have diabetes."
Aww. Aww.
Yes.
Are there any shows or projects you want to be involved in that you like right now?
Any shows or projects I want to be involved in that I like right now? Well, I'm involved in a lot of stuff that I can't talk about. I don't know what they're sneak peeking though, so I don't know if there's anything that I'm. Huh?
Tweet.
I actually don't tweet.
Well, anything you might want to be involved in?
I'm trying to think. Everything that I wanted to be involved in, I am.
Wow. Nice.
So, whenever they do cast announcements for some shows and you see my name, then that will be the answer to your question. Yes?
Okay, me again, sorry. I wanted to say, you mentioned the thing about reading Anime News Network from time to time. Well, maybe you should read it more often. I write a lot of those. So, yes, I'm one of the critics there. So I didn't get to write Spice of Wolf.
The biggest reason that I look at Anime News Network is to, before I go to conventions, because you know you always have to like introduce yourself, and oftentimes you have to say like some of the highlights of what you worked on. And I will go to Anime News Network to remind myself.
What have you been? Yeah.
Especially for signings, because sometimes I'll get signings for stuff that I worked on like one time. Like I worked on like 2 hours, and I'm like, I have no idea what my character's name was, or if I was even actually in the show. So I always go to Anime News Network to remember.
Good deal. But yeah, I actually didn't get to write the Spice and Wolf one, which it was snatched out from under me by another critic who loves the show.
You should fight them.
No, he's got seniority. I'm done touching that. But I was going to ask about School Rumble. That was actually a show that my roommate and several other anime lovers were all very hardcore sub lovers. They never touched a dub because they kind of had bad memories of them from, as most people that are real hardcore about that, like 10 years ago when it was very different. And so School Rumble was actually the show that I converted them to watching some English with. Yes, because it was just it's so Looney Tunesy, I guess, you know. And so I was wondering, especially maybe with Harima, if there was any funny stories you had about the recording sessions for School Rumble since you directed it. Was there any funny stories involving the cast or?
Harima and Hanai are my 2 favorite characters. Chris Casey, who played Hanai, and Brina Potter, who played Harima, are hilarious. I mean, they pretty much wrote all of their own lines. School Rumble had a lot. Like that one was like all improv. Like, most of those lines were rewritten for the joke. Which that's not to say that the script is bad to begin with. Like there are a lot of really awesome things in the script, but sort of like to modernize it and whatever, like change a lot of stuff. But I'm trying to think of any. There was one time that I played a prank on Leah Clark, where she, I don't even remember what line it was. It was during the beach episode. Oh, it was cheese. That's all it was the line. Whenever they take a picture and they go, cheese. And just to mess with her, I had her do it like over and over and over and over again. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna have Jimmy, who was my engineer at the time, I'm gonna have Jimmy put it on a loop and just do a bunch of different kinds. Just try it out. And so we put it on a loop, and we use a 3-beep system, so it's like beep, 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 top, beep, 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 top.